Hey, viewers and listeners, it's Ed Fox, and I'm back with Nashville2.com. So we've got a new story today, and Sean Moran,
correct. Yep.
Okay. Sean Moran is my guest on the show today, and Sean owns Red Barn Financial, and you've been in Nashville for a little bit, so we're going to find out your story, because just like people listening and watching, they're Nashville too, you're Nashville too. Let's tell the stories of business owners and people around Nashville, and that's what we do here at Nashville too. So, Sean, thanks for being a guest on the show. We really appreciate your time, and we'll try and keep it to a minimum, but have some fun along the way. So, Sean, how long have you been in Nashville?
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, we moved here in February from Virginia, and we're loving it so far. It's great here.
Okay, and so what part of Nashville metro do you live in?
We're in Murfreesboro.
So, okay.
A little more out of the city. We, we'll talk about Red Barn a little bit later, but we part of the name, what came from the fact we have a red barn in our backyard. We have 2.2 acres, and we love it.
Yeah. So my wife and I are looking for a new place to live. Is there a granny flat apartment or a mother-in-law suite in the top of the barn? No. Believe
it or not, yes. There's a full-fledged apartment. It's really nice.
Well, my wife found an apartment online the other day, and it was like it was listed for like $1,000, right? And it was just a scam. They want you to send in a deposit and stuff, and they just ripped it off another website. And she's like, "This is a great price." I said, "Yeah, because it's not real. Go look at the website. They've pulled all the same pictures. They're like, oh, we're living overseas, and if you'll just remit this money, we'll mail the key." I'm like, yeah, no. So, okay, so you're in Murfreesboro. So what brought you to the area?
Well, about a year ago, we came down for vacation. We, during the pandemic, we decided to buy an RV because, you couldn't really go to hotels or anything else. So we got a used RV, and we decided, well, where's a good place to go from Virginia? And, came down here, loved it, and said, well, hey, this seems like a good place to potentially move. Let's research it a little bit more. And the rest is history. Came back down in December, looked at 3 houses. The house we bought was the second of the three, and we just knew it was the right one, and we love it.
That's awesome. Not everybody has had that ease of finding a house. I was talking to a guy yesterday at a networking group, and he's looked at 33 houses, and before you can even get offers in on them, they're already gone. So it's just crazy. So in Murfreesboro, I come down to Boom Bar's Pizza there for a networking group. I think it's on Mondays at 9. What do you like, since you guys have been here about a year, what have you found in Murfreesboro that is sort of like your hidden gems, whether it be food, entertainment, parks, whatever? Do you have any favorites?
Well, for parks, there's the Greenway, which has a nice little, I don't know if it's a river or stream, whatever it is. People go fishing there. You can go boating, and there's a whole bunch of paths that go all around it. So you can, I think it's miles and miles. You can do biking, you can do hiking, walking on the path and off the path. And it's just, a nice way to get away into nature. So that's fantastic.
You can lose the kids out there.
We haven't had that luck yet.
So, okay. So how many children do you have?
I have 4. They're ages 9 down to 5. So yeah.
Okay. You've been busy. Your wife's been busy. You've both been busy.
Yeah.
That's why you need the 2 acres so that you can put them to work, right?
That, and they can run around and burn off all their energy.
Right. There you go. And so, okay. So the Greenway, you guys go hang out and walk around and stuff. What other hidden gems do you like in the Murfreesboro area?
Well, the downtown area is really cool. There's, it's like a walkable, like Main Street type of area, and it's historic. There's also a place called, drawing the blank on it, but there's like a little kind of wetlands area off of Broad Street that's really cool. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but
well, I'll let you research it, and you can email it to me, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and it's great. That's a lot of fun. Take them out, walk around, see all different animals. There's otters, there's fish, there's all kinds of stuff. So it's probably good. You can take about an hour and a half, and go back from time to time. So we really like that.
Sean, is your family a big outdoors kind of family?
Oh yeah, no, I love, everything from camping to skiing to, anything that's outside, enjoying nature. Love it.
Awesome. Well, hey, so let's get a little bit about what you do and
Mhm.
tell us about Red Barn Financial, how that came about, what your background is, and a little bit about how you're helping people around the Nashville metro with what you're doing.
Sure. So my background's in Barnes, I guess, right? You see the background in Barnes,
Ah,
but
that's funny. Yeah, we love trading dad jokes back and forth here. You know,
yep.
I've got a
Well,
friend that
actually,
builds. I've got a friend that builds barn dominiums. He's an architect in my trade bank business,
okay.
and he converts barns into condominiums or condos or whatever. It's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Well, that's what they actually told us ours was. I never heard of barn dominium, but it has a apartment in the back and just an open downstairs area. So it's great. But yeah, so Red Barn, yeah, my background is corporate tax. I got a master's in tax and spent 15 years doing that, but I just felt like it wasn't fulfilling. I wasn't helping individuals and small business owners, and I had spent about 6 years as a small business owner. I owned the Verizon store, and the challenges, the ups and downs of owning a business. I was talking to another guy that I was networking with, and yeah, it can definitely be challenging. So I like to help people on their, think about it this way. When you're going to take a trip, you're not going to get up in the morning, get in your car and just start driving and hope you end up wherever you want to be. Like you don't get to Nashville, right?
Yep.
Or if I'm going to go to Memphis on vacation or something like that, I have to get a map. I have to say, here's where I am and here's where I'm going. And most people don't do that with their finances. So, whether you're too busy or whatever it might be, people need a lot of help with that. And then I think also from the entrepreneur perspective, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that don't have, that accounting or, tax background, and, to help people kind of navigate some of that. That's what I love to do as an independent financial advisor. I think a lot of people can, be out there, can manage your money, but, the idea is to keep as much of it as you can. And most people don't know, but then in retirement, the biggest expense you'll probably have in retirement, you know what that is? Taxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It could be about, think about it, could be 25-30% of your income.
Right.
How many other,
Because your 401k, like when you start to take distributions from your 401k, that's taxable, right?
exactly. And so sometimes there's a lot of good ways to plan ahead of time. And if you have a big enough 401k, can push you into higher tax brackets.
Can you have a big enough 401k? That's my question. Like, I don't care if it's 500,000 or 10 million. Is it enough?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you want to do, right?
Right, exactly. And that's one of the things that I help clients with, is to say, okay, well, for you might have $500,000 and that might be enough to retire. And the next person, wants to go skiing in the Alps and travel to, South Africa and go to wherever and this and that, and they have more expensive hobbies.
Right.
They might need a couple $1,000,000. So really I look at it from a goals-based perspective. Are you the type of person that's like, yeah, I'm going to sit at home, most of the time, watch TV, work in my backyard. And then, twice a year, we're going to go to a local place, or, maybe something that costs a couple $1,000s. That's a different situation than someone that's going to be, jet setting and, going skiing, golfing every day or whatever it might be. So,
right. Yeah, exactly. So one of our plans is we've got a lot of friends in India. And
mm-hmm.
so Ahmedabad, India, apartment, driver, housekeeper, cook, everything, a high-speed internet, like 200 megabits per second download, 900 a month US.
Right.
So we're thinking like 6 months in India and 6 months in Australia, or actually 6 months, 3 months, 3 months. So it depends on your plans and depending on what you put away. And then I think healthcare plays a big part in that too. And that's got to be part of the financial advisor, financial plan too, correct?
Absolutely. And to me, one of the most underutilized investment options that people have for most people is a health savings account, or HSA.
Right.
It is kind of like a 401k and a Roth 401k, or IRA and Roth IRA, because when you put the money in, you get a tax deduction in the year you put it in. And when you take it out, you don't pay any tax on the growth. So it's, no deduction in, free money out.
So I actually, because I'm getting closer and closer to this milestone, right? And my investments have always been tied into businesses. I like starting businesses. I like building businesses. You know, I'm not a big crypto guy. I mean, I need to put some disposable income into crypto, you know, something that I can afford to lose, but I don't tend to invest in what I don't understand. Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's where people, what percentage of Americans maybe don't have a financial advisor at this point?
It's a lot. You'd be surprised. I think it's somewhere around 73 or 75% don't.
Right. And I
And
think they're afraid because their parents didn't teach them about money. My parents were really good at teaching about money, because my dad would always say, look, if I don't teach you about money, how are you going to learn? Only
Right.
by getting ripped off by a bunch of other people. Right. And so I think a financial advisor, do you find that it's a matter of building that know, like, and trust to be able, because people don't want to have those financial discussions. They would rather just ignore it and think it's going to be taken care of. I find.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of times people just think of it as, well, you know, it's private or it's personal, or someone's going to judge me based on the mistakes I've made. You know, I get a lot of people say, I worked with a lot of teachers, and a lot of times they say, I don't want you to, I feel bad because I'm this age and I haven't, whatever, I'm sorry. It's like, you don't have to apologize.
Right.
You know,
What's the story? Yeah, what's the story? The best time to invest was 10 years ago. The
Right.
next best time is start today.
Today, right?
I always relate it to house cleaners, right? My sister in Australia, and she probably won't watch this, so I can tell on her. We tried to hire a house cleaner for her. Not that she was messy or anything, but just as she was so busy as a mom, and she needed some of that help. And she said, please, you know, can you stop paying for the house cleaner? She says, I can't deal with it. I said, well, why? She goes, well, because I have to clean up the house before she comes to clean up the house.
Right.
You know, and I think sometimes that's how people feel about a financial advisor or a financial planner. Are those interchangeable? There's slight differences between a planner and an advisor, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of you know, people aren't clear on where, you know, and the industry's bad at that, right? So some people will tell you they're a financial advisor when they're simply have an insurance license, and they shouldn't. A financial advisor is someone that has passed some of the FINRA tests, like, you know, the series test. So if they have a series 7, 65, 63, you know, those other numbers, that's where you're going to want to look for. And, you know, you can look on FINRA's broker check site to, you know, kind of see if the person is, and, you know, what their record and their history is. So that's something I encourage people to do. So yeah, I think that's sometimes confusing to people. And you know, I think the other part is that they think of us as their parents, right? So, oh, I'm going to show, and they're just going to like scold me for, you know, for where I am. And the answer is no. You know, it's your journey. I look at it as myself as being the guide along the journey, right? So I'm going to help you get to where you're going. I'm going to map out your vacation trip, right? I'm going to help you say, this is where you want to go. You know, I want to go to Memphis for vacation, or I want to go to the Grand Canyon. I'm going to tell you how to get there, and I'm going to tell you where the pitfalls are along the way. And, you know, but it's your trip. It's where you want to go. You know, if you're going to Colorado, I'm not going to tell you, well, you have to ski. I like skiing. Maybe you don't. So, you know, it's really what you want to accomplish, and not so much what the other person wants to accomplish. You know, and it doesn't matter what I want to do. It matters what you want to do.
Right, exactly. And that's a good point. So I guess I'd like our viewers and our listeners, because I do this as a audio podcast as well, to understand that having a great financial advisor, you're going to have to find somebody that's on the same page as you, that you can relate to, that you feel free to, because you get a little vulnerable when you share that financial information, right? We just don't want to throw it out there. And like you said, we don't want to be scolded about it, but we have to learn. I think so many people that have 401ks or Roth IRAs and other investments, they abdicate the responsibility of management for those assets because they don't understand what to do, right? And they've got to get educated. That's, you know, that we work all of our lives for money. You know, do we work to live, or do we live to work? Some people do one thing, some people do another, you know, but I think we as individuals have to take responsibility for our finances. And if we don't know how to do that, we have to get financially literate by engaging with people like yourself, Sean. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, and I'm shouting, but I'm probably preaching to the choir here. But they definitely, if they don't have a financial advisor, how would somebody reach out to you and start that conversation?
Yeah, by all means. I mean, I think the way I look at it is I want to meet you where you are, right? So it doesn't matter if it's, well, I'm 40 years old and I haven't even gotten started yet. Or, I've had people, unfortunately, it's, I'm 60, I want to retire next year. Oh, I guess I can't. I hate to deliver that news, but it's better to say, okay, well, don't just give up. Let's figure out how to get you retired in 5 years, if that's where you're at, right? Or sometimes it's not even, some people, it's like you said, they live to work and they don't ever want to really retire.
Right.
So how do I make it? Maybe I cut back or whatever. It's like, what matters to you? What's important to you? And to me, that's what I want to help people, answer. And I think money is really a tool. It's a tool to get you to where you want to go. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Right. It's not everything, but it's important to, know how much of that tool you need to use. And, the other thing is people just say, like you said, I'll put my money in my 401k. Oh, they match 4%. Let me put in 4%. Is that enough? Is that too much?
Right.
Are you getting the best value from what your company is offering? I've had people that do an analysis of what their current 401k is. And I say, you're paying 2.5%, 3% into that. So do you want to continue to do that? Or, the investment options that they haven't been performing well.
Right.
So, we help them analyze their investments, but then also look at all the other pieces. Like we said, HSAs, planning for long-term care, because a lot of people are going to need that. Planning for college if you have kids. There's a litany of different things. And then also, are you doing the right things that you need to do to minimize your taxes? There's no law. There's tax evasion is illegal. Tax minimization is not.
I always find it funny where people go, oh, these big corporations are making so much money and paying no taxes. I say, yeah, well, how much of their stock do you hold in your 401k?
Mm-hmm.
So would you prefer them to pay a lot of taxes and have a lower share price so that you have less money in your 401k? Is that what you would like them to do? Because it's all relative, right? We go to our tax preparer and we try to take every legal tax deduction we can. And then sometimes we get upset with big corporations that aren't paying taxes or paying enough taxes, but they're taking every deduction they can because their goal is to make the most money for their shareholders. So, it's this double-edged sword. We have to understand that there's give and take. And I'm sure all of us would be okay, or a lot of us would be okay at giving up a percentage of growth in our 401k if some of these taxes were paid by bigger corporations. But we have to understand that we just can't complain about it and then reap the benefits over here of them not doing it, right? So It's a conversation, I think. And the thing that you and I have talked about before offline is we've talked about the fact that you get started where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you don't think that you can invest or that you can start anything, what is a good amount to start with investing is a question that I ask people all the time. Now, I'm not a financial planner or anything, but I like to keep more money than I spend. I mean, I like to grow the money. It's just a way of keeping score. I mean, it's funny. I go into Kroger and I try to walk out with a head of lettuce. They want some money for that lettuce.
Right.
Not that I need the money. It's that everybody, it's funny. The electricity company and the internet company, they want me to pay the bill to keep their services going. And I like heat and I like internet. I like Netflix, I like watching podcast video on, like you've got some videos on YouTube that people are worth checking out. If they look up Red Barn Financial, I'm sure that they'll find that stuff. But it's everybody else that wants the money, right? So that's why we have to make the money, because everybody else wants it. I own a bartering company, so I love bartering too. But I tell people, look, if all you can invest is $1 a week, then invest $1 a week.
Right.
Start where you're at. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter whether you're 10 years old or 100. If you're not investing with somebody, if you're not talking to a financial planner, I like to tell new financial planners, I'll say, look, go after those kids that are 18, just started in the workforce, And they don't know that $50 a month can make a huge difference compounded over 30 years, because they're going to start to see it grow. They're going to start to see that they can put in 200, 300. What if we cut out one Starbucks coffee a day and invested that instead? You know, people just need that education, and they need to be taught, but they've got to be open to it. So I'm just preaching to the choir, of course.
No, yeah. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, I have a couple of young clients, and I get excited about them because I remember when I first got out of college, I said, the first thing I got to do with my first paycheck is open up an IRA, you know, and it's like, none of my friends thought that made any, you know, like it was the furthest thing from their mind, you know, and I have a lot of people that, you know, they just don't do it. It's like, oh, I got to spend this or that. You know, when I owned my Verizon store, as you can imagine, I had a lot of young kids that were, you know, I'm saying kids like college age,
right, that
are, you know, oh, I don't have any money, I'm broke. Well, every single day you're in here with a tropical smoothie drink that costs, you know, $5,
yeah,
you know, or you're buying McDonald's for $6, $7, $10 a day, when the grocery store is right there. You can buy a loaf of bread, some peanut butter, keep in the refrigerator in the back, and spend $5 or $6 a week for lunch.
So we call food tucker in Australia, right? So the slang is tucker. And so we keep a tucker box. At my office right now is a tucker box with a loaf of bread, a box of crackers, a jar of peanut butter, a jar of Vegemite, of course, because I'm an Aussie. You know, and I hate spending money on food, you know, unless I can barter it. If I can barter for my food, great. But yeah, we keep this tucker box because every $5 that you don't spend over the course of 20 years becomes what? I've heard the number before. I can't remember it, but like $5 invested and compounded over 20 years is like $500 or something. So that latte that you're drinking today, and I'm not saying that's the number, I'm just saying a hypothetical story. If we compound that $5 that we don't spend today over the course of 20 years from now, you're going to remember that Starbucks latte from 20 years ago that's now worth, you know, 100 times what you would have spent. I mean, that's where it gets exciting, that rule of 72 that most people don't understand, right?
Right. No, I'm smiling because you really nailed it. I think it's funny because, you know, the key, I think, of one thing for, you know, younger people or anybody to take away is, you know, pay yourself first. So think of your savings as a bill. Like you said, you have to pay for the internet, you have to pay for this, that, and the other. You have to put that in as one of your bills. So, you know, you're not going out to the movies, you're not going out to dinner if you have no money in the bank account, right? So what you have to do is say, okay, I've got to pay my rent or mortgage. I have to pay, you know, for the internet, the electric, the heat, and I have to pay my savings or my retirement or whatever it might be. Put that in a situation where it's put away where you can't touch it. That's something I help people with, you know, create that scenario. And, you know, to your point, there's another anecdote that I heard years ago is that if you took a person who's 20 years old and another person who's 30 years old, if the person that's 20 years old put $1,000 a year from age 20 to age 30 and then stopped, and then the person that was 30 put $1,000 a year from age 30 through age 60, who do you think would have more money when they get to age 60?
Well, you would think that the 30-year-old would.
But that's not true. It's the 20-year-old. Because of compounding, they have that extra 10 years for their money to continue to grow. So sure, when the 30-year-old gets to 60, the 20-year-old is still 50. But again, they only had to put in 10 grand and the other person had to put in 30 grand to get to the same place. So the sooner you start, the better. And like you said, 10 years ago or today.
Right. It's funny. I don't normally get this excited about this stuff, but we're seeing some of those benefits that we're reaping from 30 years ago now. My wife's talked about retiring. We've talked to our financial advisor. I have to tell you, my last financial advisor, she had me sleeping like a baby. The one before I've got the one now. Yeah. Like I woke up every 2 hours crying. That's So sometimes you got to find the right financial advisor for you, right? It turns out that she was more interested in her fees and commissions. And but because I abdicated the responsibility on watching my 401k and watching my investments to her, I missed out. And so then I got with somebody that said, look, you got to check on this stuff. You know, I'm your advisor, I'm the guy, but you need to be making sure that where I've got you is where you want to be through my guidance. And he's done such a great job. And actually, that's not true about the other one. It was just I had to fit in the dad joke.
The joke, right? Yeah,
right.
No, that's good.
But she was good, but we just weren't. It wasn't where we wanted to be, where we needed to be, because I've got more ability to risk because I've got businesses that are growing and are making money. So we could have been a little more adventurous. Okay. And been a little bit risk, but that's where you have to learn, right? And if it wasn't for her teaching me the things that she taught me, and then the next guy that teaching me the things, so I think we spent enough time on this, and we probably lost the 3 viewers that we had. But this will be out there for all posterity, whatever it is.
Posterity, yeah, I think.
Yeah. And I think they'll get that. So in Murfreesboro, when you take 4 kids out to eat, where do you guys like to go to eat?
We haven't done a lot of that, but I will give a plug to one of our, you mentioned Connect Murfreesboro, and that's a group that I go to every Monday.
Right.
And one of the guys there, Dave, owns the Steak and Shake on Old Fort, and he's done a tremendous job making that place great.
Turning that around. Yeah. So I was at Tony Bradshaw's event last Friday night, the Purpose of Wealth out in Lebanon. He had Jeremy Newsom there, and Dave was there, and that's where we met. So I've just met this guy that you were talking about, and he was compelling to listen to about his take on customer service and what he's done at the Steak and Shake. And I'm like, I actually sent him a message on LinkedIn. I said, Dave, whenever you do a talk, if you're ever talking for a Chamber of Commerce or anywhere that you're speaking, let me know so that I can come and listen to you. That guy is on the ball. So yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you guys, and I'm addicted to Steak and Shake's fries. I like the little crispy fries. So, I would, I love the fact that you're talking about another guy that you network and what he's done with a restaurant. And the fact that I even knew what you were talking about is great.
Yeah.
What's his last name? Wheel?
Yep.
Yeah. The third. He's a third. Yeah.
And he's a veteran. So, all the more reason to support his local business.
Yeah. So, yes, send me the link and a little bio on that place. That would be good. What about, where do you guys, with 4 kids, it can get really expensive to go out anywhere pretty quickly. So what do you guys tend to do when you've got a family and you're in Murfreesboro? How do you get your entertainment?
Yeah, I think for parks is one of the ways that we do it, right? So going to different parks, having 2 acres, the kids have friends in the neighborhood, and, they play in our backyard or other neighbors' backyard. So there's a lot of that. There's creative ways to do that. There's also in Murfreesboro, they have a Cannonsburg Village, which is really cool. It's kind of an historic village of older houses and buildings to kind of understand how things were. Maybe I think it's around the 1800s or so. Awesome. And then in that area on Friday, they have like food trucks come and a bunch of different vendors and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Also, we go to Bethel Murfreesboro. That's our church, but World Outreach Church has a lot of concerts and such there that are free on Saturday nights.
Awesome.
And so, kids have gone and seen a bunch of different, mini concerts that they do. So that's a lot of fun too.
Cool. Well, hey, Sean, it's been great having you on the show. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. So they can connect with me via email, phone, or website. Website is redbarnfinancial.com. My email is smoran@redbarnfinancial.com. And phone number is 615-619-6919. So any of those ways, be happy to connect with people. And, I'll share with you, Ed, my contact information. You can put it in the description down below.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for being on the show, Sean. It's been fun.
It's been great. Thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.